Yes, guys, believe it or not, I do indeed have ears. Enjoy that brief glance you got. Now we're back to headphones on. And in my hardcore world, I've pushed things to its limits so many times, such as using redstone machinery to build weather farms, god apple farms, even the world's fastest XP farm. And first up, I even built a machine that uses update suppression to duplicate netherite blocks. I did destroy them in cactus, but this is how I built it. I need to focus on this next duper that is going to allow me to get infinite netherite. It doesn't require a crazy amount of items, but what it does include is a way to blow up netherite, which, as you can see, should be impossible. You can't blow up netherite with TNT. Well, in theory you can't, but we're going to use a very clever trick that is going to make it possible. Every needed item is either in here or in my inventory, although I do also actually need to grab 4 netherite blocks, just temporarily, so that I can actually use the machine. And incidentally, the place where we're going to build this is actually where my god particle farm is, and also where my rare block collection's at, which is pretty cool, isn't it? I'm going to start this with a blue ice highway that has borders of glass, and this is what is going to transport the netherite blocks. And as a slight side point, which I thought was cool, this machine will actually get 288,000 netherite ingots per hour, which is kind of crazy. It's just a shame that I'll be putting all of them into a cactus. The cactus will be right here. And as you can see, the water will flow to it nicely. I can chuck an item into that collection water. Look how it goes all the way around. It goes up there, around, and into the cactus. And with the collection system out of the way, I'm going to focus on getting the update suppressors onto these 4 quartz blocks. This is quite easy to do, and I've shown it quite a lot in other videos. And it basically involves tricking the game into thinking there's still a lectern here when there's actually a shulker box. It causes a weird error, so if we just open that up, break this, and then instead put an empty shulker box, need to make sure it's empty, put that in its place. We can't open it because the game thinks it's a lectern, but this is now an update suppressor. An update suppressor, I need to move 1 block in this direction because it's in the wrong place. There we go. And now I can create the update suppressor shulkers that are going to be crucial for this duper. There we go. That is mission accomplished. They're all in place. And if I place a block here, you can see it just stays as 60 in inventory. I can place another one. It's 59. It stays. But if I instead also add comparators to this side as well, now when I place a block and I click on it, it goes back to 59. I can do that again. It goes back to 59. So this is now an active duplicator. Pistons are going to constantly extend blocks upwards, and then these pistons will push them that way to where TNT will be dropped. But the pistons have to extend at a specific moment so that the TNT can break the netherite blocks. So this is going to be connected up with a bunch of repeaters. And I'm also going to need another piece of sand. I'll explain why. If I just have this redstone connect to those pistons, they will extend for quite a few ticks. But if instead I place sand, then the sand will make it so that this is only activated for a split second, for just for 1 tick. And the shorter the amount of time these pistons are extended, the more blocks that can be placed and pushed upward. You'll soon see how it all works. But trust me, this bit of sand is very important. Now, we need to make the little TNT blast chamber. It starts with a little obsidian platform there, which I don't know if it's super necessary, but then it gets built up higher with an obsidian wall. And the TNT is going to be dispensed right here and pushed along by water. So if I have an open fence gate, that's going to stop the water from flowing down, but the TNT can pass through. We're also going to waterlog this with a slab. The TNT will go here and slowly, because of the soul sand, will get moved across. This clock will make it so that there's regularly TNT being dispensed. And the way you break netherite blocks is by pushing them with a piston as they get blown up. Allow me to demonstrate. If you place 10 repeaters down, all on full ticks delay, followed by 1 at the end on a single tick, and dispense TNT on the tick before that, if the piston pushes the TNT just as it blows up the netherite, because in the single tick that a block is being pushed, its blast resistance gets set to 0. So that's what I've utilized here. There are 10 repeaters all in a row connected to those pistons, followed by the 11th repeater on just a single tick. I'm gonna add a bit of a wall to this as well, because you can just see too much at the moment, can't you? Let's do it. Yeah, I'm liking how that's looking. Let's also grab all of the TNT, which can go into this dispenser. Yeah, I could use a TNT duper, but for this particular time, you know, I'm not going to use one. It's fine with a dispenser. And I can show you this in action. So I flick this, those keep extending, and notice what happens here. As that blows up, those pistons extend. Can you see? And it does it really, really fast. Okay, that's only for a split second are those extending, thanks to that piston and sand. And if I start placing netherite blocks, as you can see, because of the update suppression, it is duping them, and they are going to get blown up. Okay, let me make it so you can see this a little bit better. So placing the netherite next to the update suppressors causes it to duplicate. These pistons then push the blocks across, and the TNT explodes just as the blocks are moved, so that the items drop downwards, get collected up, and destroyed by the cactus. Here they are, my lovely little broken shulkers. And somehow I've managed to bring everything, except I forgot the hoppers. I don't know why. It's not really a big issue, because I come prepared. In this shulker box, we have iron, and in this shulker box, I have wood. So I can craft a few extra chests that can be turned into hoppers. I actually need 37 in total, though, which is going to take a bit more crafting. And I don't know if I'll just make them as I go, but for now, this is going to be like this, where they're going to be pointing into each other. And with enough iron, I can craft all the rest. And in this hopper, for the timings, I need 13 items. We'll put redstone on top to lock it. And then I can add all of the other redstone around it, which is going to be like this. We just need a piston there. And then also some more items on top. Also, if there was some way I could make some sort of switch to disable phantoms, I would. I reckon it might be possible. And yeah, if it is, I'm definitely up for doing it. And what I'm building here is known as a binary counter. Because it's going to take 35 hours for all of the cactus to smelt and get me all the XP that I need, this binary counter will slowly count upwards until it's done. Which is very handy when you want to keep an eye on the progress of the smelting. These are all the droppers which will dispense the cactus into the cauldrons which have the lava in. And here is where every single furnace is going to go. As I said before, this is going to be a chunk loader, so there's going to be another hopper clock here. And inside this one, I need 16 items. I pretty much just used up all my food on putting it in the hoppers. And because hopper minecarts are going to be what transports the items into the furnaces, a lot of rails need to be placed. A shulker box full of coal is going to go right here. And then a shulker box full of cactus is going to go next to it. I have to make sure I get those the right way around. Next, I'm going to take hopper minecarts, and we're going to have one, if we can just place it, it's going to be on there. And the other one is going to be next to it. You'll see these are going to be quickly filling up. And once I add a bit more redstone and a bit more storage on top, the entire thing is completely done. And the only other thing that I will need to do is go and grab a few items to complete the chunk loader on that side. It's a pretty simple system. We've got a minecart here. If we turn this, so now the minecart goes through, and then it comes back, gets burnt. And then when the timer ends, you see the piston moves, it dispenses a new one, another one comes back, and it's just an endless loop that keeps it going round and round, which also works perfectly on the nether side. And it is well protected from any gas as well, just in case. And with all of that done, I now need to head back to drop off all this stuff and grab all of these shulker boxes of cactus. These can be placed into the top chest, and then I can head to the actual cactus farm through this hyperspeed tunnel and grab all of the remaining shulker boxes. And as I load this up, I'm now 100% ready to run this god particle machine. But before then, I thought I'd give you a minor demonstration of what's to come. You see, if I place a single furnace right here, add some cactus and add some coal, it's going to start smelting. And if I also add a hopper underneath, it's going to pull out any of the cactus green dye without giving me any XP. No, that XP is all being stored in the furnace and will only be taken out if I break it or pull an item. With that, everything is smelted, so there is 64 XP points stored in this furnace. I can break the hopper underneath and get all the items, and then place obsidian underneath, as well as one on top. And if I put a comparator here, update suppression is now happening because of the glitched shulker. If I then go and break this and place a furnace straight away back down, watch what happens. The XP comes flooding in, and the furnace keeps dropping the XP over and over again. Yes, I used up 32 furnaces, but those furnaces were turned into pure XP, which is just so useful. So as you can see, it's pretty powerful. Now imagine that there's 12,000 XP coming out of the furnace, or 5 god particles. Then the player will be absorbing the maximum amount of XP possible in single player. I am now ready to start getting so much XP very fast. So here is the moment of truth. I'm going to put the furnaces in my offhand. I'm going to break this, and notice what comes out. A load of god particles, and then we place it again. We break it. They're there again. We place it. They're there again. Ladies and gentlemen, look how quick. We need to crouch as well as we do this. Look how quick we can break and place them. And look how fast my levels are going up. This is getting me a ridiculous amount of XP. We've just gone to level 1000. In fact, it is producing faster than my player can absorb it. Maybe there's a little bit too much in there. Or it could be the suppression causing a bit of lag. That's generally the reason. But we got levels so fast. And it actually gets you 24,000 XP per second. Because now it is time for me to explain how the weather machine works. Once again, this uses RNG manipulation, and both the weather machine and lightning farm use what I'm about to explain. In a Minecraft world, lots of things happen randomly, but if you use a certain seed, the world generation will always be the same, which means structures will also always be in the same place. And Minecraft is made up of regions that are 80 by 80 chunks in size. Inside these regions, one woodland mansion will attempt to spawn in the same place every time if you're using the same seed. When doing this, for a split second, it resets the world RNG to a specific number, which is different in every region. And every time you load a chunk inside a region, it will reset the entire world RNG again and again. So if we know the seed, we know what the RNG is going to be set to. And because I've downgraded my world to 1.12, I know that the seed is 0. And I also know right now that I'm in a region where the RNG will give me a thunderstorm, which is why I came to these exact coordinates. So I'll build the weather machine and explain how it works. So this right here is the platform that I'm going to stand on. And right here, I need a bed. Why do I need a bed? Well, when you sleep in Minecraft, of course it resets time so that it is day. But before 1.17, it would also reset the weather cycle to a random amount. And that random amount would determine how long until it starts raining and how long until it starts thundering. But if I load a chunk in this region, just as it's resetting the weather cycle to a random value, I can decide what that random value is. I can manipulate that random value so that a thunderstorm happens in just 10 minutes rather than the usual wait time of around 6 hours. I hope it all makes sense. I've really simplified the explanation as much as I can, but it's still a complicated thing. But I'll link videos with much more detailed explanations in the description. And because my render distance is set to 12, this chunk here will be unloaded and will get loaded when the redstone reaches the end. And this chunk is going to get loaded by the hopper. Because I'm manipulating the weather, it has to be a hopper that loads the chunks, not redstone line. It's just the way the RNG works. I'm not going to explain it here. But basically, for a split second, this torch will get turned off and an item will get sent into the chest, which will load the chunk. And I must now layer this redstone all the way down. And that is all of it done. The delay that is set through these repeaters combined with all the other redstone means that the moment I wake up, the chunk will be loaded, which will set the weather cycle at the perfect time. So now, I've just got to wait for the sun to go down. Whilst I do that, I can probably mine up all this glass. I just have this here for chunk alignment. The sun's going down. I can get into the bed. And now that I've got out of bed, I know that the thunderstorm is going to start in exactly 10 minutes and 22 seconds. So I might as well get out of here and head to where the lightning farm's gonna be. Here we are. And I can actually build a little bit of this farm before the thunderstorm starts. Now this right here is the platform where the lightning is gonna strike. But it'll only strike there if I am stood in a very specific spot, which is right here. It doesn't matter what height I'm at, but I have to be at this X and Z coordinate. So I'm gonna build upwards and then build a long redstone line that will go to the edge of the render distance and load chunks, which will spawn lightning. I've got to be pretty quick because the sun's going down, which means the thunderstorm's going to start, but I'll just get busy with the redstone. It's happening. It's raining. What did I tell you? The sun's going down and the thunderstorm is starting. All the redstone's down, and this is a new chunk that, when loaded, will spawn the lightning. I've added that platform so that you can see the lightning better. And if I push this button, lightning will strike. If I then pause the game a few times to save and unload the chunks and push it again, it strikes again. And I can just keep doing this over and over again, and we can keep getting lightning on that platform. And when I push this button, we should get a ridiculous amount of lightning over there. Are you ready? As it loads all the chunks one by one, look at it go. What have we created, ladies and gentlemen? Doesn't it look epic? And it's just going to keep going over and over again until every bit of redstone is loaded, which takes about 45 seconds. Here's the nether portal, and here is the ancient city. Now, first things first, because we are going to be regenerating the chunk, sometimes skulk shriekers will appear. And I don't want any wardens spawning, which will ruin this, so that is why I'm going to make a wool bridge. I can't really, there's no point in me doing anything here. Like, I can place some wool here, you know, I can do whatever to this chunk, but it's not going to last because the chunk will regen and delete it all. And I need to make sure that I build this machine far enough away from the portal, so I'm going to build it 10 chunks in this direction. And this right here shall be the spot. The redstone's fairly simple, so I'll explain how it works when it's done. And up here are all the droppers that are going to contain the books. Now to add a load of hoppers on top, and it is done. That was pretty quick, wasn't it? And what this will do is each dropper will be full of each type of book. So book 1 will be here, book 2 will be here, book 3 will be here, and it will, when I press this button, each dropper will dispense one item into this shulker box. This shulker box will fill up and then go into this chest, and it'll have one of each book all in different stacks. In fact, it's probably just better if I show you it in action. And so this is the moment where I need to transport all the books. Fantastic, that is all of them. I'll load the chests up with loads and loads and loads of shulker boxes. And let's say I want to fill 9 shulker boxes, each having one different book in them. Well, I just put 9 items into here, push this, and then it goes around. And as you can see, these have all now, well, they've all gone off. There is books. Well, trust me, it worked. It was too quick for me to show you. But if you look at it now, these are all different types of books. Look at it. One of every book, they're not in any specific order, are in there. And then it's happened again. And in the exact same thing, one of every book is in there. And any moment now, it'll do it again. And every single one of every book is in there. And that'll happen for as many times as there is items in this dropper. Very, very simple. But you're probably wondering why. Why do I need this? Why do I need to split the books up like that instead of having them in shulker boxes like this? Well, it's all about how a computer processes data. And here we are in a random creative world. Right here, we have loads and loads of books, but they're all exactly the same book. Over and over again, they stack up. And here we have less books, but they're all different, so they don't stack up. So there's a lot less of them, but they're all different. Now, because these are all the same, Minecraft can compress them so they take up less memory. And because these are all different, Minecraft can't really compress them because there's nothing to merge together. And this is where chunk regenning comes in. If you make a chunk run out of memory, it will regenerate it back to as if it was brand new. For example, if I make this chunk completely full of diamond blocks, and I can quit the game, save it, and when I load it back in, it's still there. This is part of the game now. This is what the chunk is, okay? It is exactly like this. I can even break blocks as well if I want to. But if I now put a load of high data shulker boxes into a chest in the chunk, then it will require a lot more memory to process it. And you can see the memory that's used in the top right corner. And if I go into the launcher and make it so Minecraft can only use 1,000 megabytes, when the game loads in the chunk with the shulker boxes, it runs out of memory and you get this out of memory error. And then if you unload the chunk by going through a nether portal, that's the easiest way to do it. Minecraft sees it as an unreadable chunk and regenerates it back to how it would be in a brand new Minecraft world. And if you do this in a structure, Minecraft will regenerate the loot. So let's put it into practice. First things first, I need to get rid of these chickens because they're causing a bit of lag that might affect things or might make my game crash while I'm doing this, which I'd like to avoid if possible. Next, I need another 26 shulker boxes worth, so I've put that many items in and they can nicely be processed in a way. The only items I'll have in my inventory is the chest and then all of the shulker boxes. That's all of them done. And I've also set the render distance to 2 because once I lower the RAM, if I load this machine, it'll just regenerate all the chunks because there's a lot of data there. And I definitely don't want that to happen. So now I head through the portal. As you can see, there's no notch apples in there. There's just a bunch of loot. I'm going to put down a chest and then I'm going to close the game. Then I'll reload the game with just 1,000 megabytes of RAM. And I'm going to fill this chest up with all of these. And you can see in the top right, it's using about 90% of the memory. Once I go through this portal, the memory spiked up to 98%. The game is pretty much out of memory. It will have had the error. And so because that chunk's become unreadable, when I head back through, it should regenerate the chunk. It'll take a little bit to load. Now I know it's worked because it's taken quite a bit to load the chunk. And here we go. It's loaded in and it's worked. You can see it's actually changed the look of it as well a little bit because it's regenerated it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this shrieker. I hope there's no others lurking around because we don't want any ones as I've said. And then 2 notch apples. Yes, we can put those into the ender chest. We can put another double chest down and go and get more shulker boxes because the shulker boxes have been deleted. And that is why we needed so many books. I've also increased Minecraft's memory back up before going over here. I can shove that in there, get it to run 35 times, and just rinse and repeat. We can keep doing this over and over again. So I'll quit Minecraft and give it less memory. Put the books in the chest. Head through the portal, and it's just rinse and repeat. Once again, the chunks regened. We've got the notch apples. It looks different at another time. So yeah, it works absolutely perfectly. And I'm just going to keep doing this over and over again until I completely run out of books, which will get me a decent amount of notch apples. And this is the last lot of books that I have. So I'll regen the chunk one more time. And from doing it over and over again, I've ended up with a grand total of 76 notch apples. Not a bad little haul, especially when I put them with the other 33 I had in this shulker box. We've got absolutely loads. And if I was to get loads more sugarcane, I could use the farm a lot more and get hundreds more of the notch apples, which is good to know that that's an option. You can see I've got a few of these left because I didn't have a use for all of them. Not quite enough for one more batch. I can now fill up all of these item frames with the notch apples and also fill the droppers so that I have working notch apple waterfalls. Doesn't it look cool?